Okay, three, two, one. And joining us now here on The Factor Uncensored, we have Queenie Freeman and her husband, Bun B. Glad to have you both here on The Factor Uncensored. So, Queenie, when you got the news back in June
Hmm.
that you were dealing with cancer, breast cancer, how tough was that for you?
The way found out, I went for my annual mammogram. I had a friend that worked at the place that I take my mammograms every year. So I noticed a week later, I was sitting on my back porch listening to the pool, and I seen my phone ring. It said Solis, and I was like, I'm not answering that. I already know because they usually send me a letter stating that I passed my mammogram,
Mm-hmm.
and this was unusual that they calling. So I said I'm not answering. So I let it ring. Bun was in the house. I let it ring. Then my friend called. She said, "Did Solis call you?" I said, "Yeah, but I didn't answer." She said, "You should have answered. We need you to come back in for an ultrasound." I said, "Huh?" She said, "Yeah, we need you to come back in for an ultrasound." I said, "Okay." So I went back in for the ultrasound. 2 days later, she called me back. "Queenie, they want you to come back in for a biopsy." I started shaking. I was like, "Bun, they want me to come back in for a biopsy. I'm scared. I'm scared of needles. I don't want them sticking me."
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "Okay, we going." So I went in. My friend at work at Solis, she told a lady, she said she's scared of needles. So the black lady that was doing the biopsy, she rubbed me until I was calm on my shoulder, and she went ahead. She went in, and it was over with. 2 weeks later, my PCP, Dr. Janeka Broussard, called me at 5:30, and I know it's closed. She said, "I need you and your husband to come in the morning at 8:30." I said, "Oh Lord, you finna tell her something bad." So we went. She was like, I could tell in her face. She was like, "You have breast cancer." I say, "For real?" She said, "Yeah, in your left breast and two of your lymph nodes under your left arm. I don't know what kind it is." I was like, "Oh wow," but I didn't cry that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was more shocking. So she said, "I want you to." I'm in the Methodist system. She said, I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to MD Anderson. I'm going to MD Anderson." So I said, she was like, "We do, we have everything that they have now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like for you, but I can't tell you where to go, but I would like for you to stay in the system and work with the doctors that I work with." I was like, "Oh, okay." So we went home. I called MD Anderson. They said they didn't take my insurance.
Wow.
So the confirmation was for me to stay
Mm-hmm.
in the Methodist. So I stayed in the Methodist, and it, the doctor, Dr. Nair, she was like, "If you willing, we could get this done." I was like, "Okay." I cried for about two seconds because the surgeon scared me to death
Mm-hmm.
by telling me, "Oh, you're stage 3, and it could have spread it to your brain, your liver, anywhere your bones in your body." I'm talking about, she scared me. She said, "But if if I could use you for a day, I will get all these tests done and we'll find out." So I went straight to a PET scan,
Mm-hmm.
nuclear medicine. I went to echocardiogram. They need to check your heart. I did all this in one day, and in 2 days they called me and said for me to come in. Your cancer's just in that one, them two spots up there.
Mm-hmm.
You have two tumors in your left breast, one at the 1 o'clock and one at 4 o'clock, and two of your lymph nodes. First thing I asked, "Am I gonna live?" "Yeah, if you want to."
And was that answer a relief to you that you
Yeah,
had the option to fight?
yeah. That's all I wanted to do was fight because I just thought of my granddaughter first, my children, and my parents, and my husband. Like, what would they do without me? And Bun got up and he stood over me and he said, "You got this." She didn't give you a date. She just told you you have to fight. I'm scared of needles. That scared me the most.
Hmm.
There's a lot of needles involved with this. You're getting blood drawn all the time, IV injections, medicine has to come through IV sometimes. And I don't know if anything that scares her more than the idea of a shot. But she put up a strong fight. She really did. There was a lot of things that were difficult for her to do daily. A lot of lifestyle adjustments just to be fit enough to deal with the poison that goes in your body, because that's kind of what chemotherapy and radiation is. It's poison that goes into your body, but it's the kind of poison that can kill what they're fighting. And so you know that going into that, you're going to have some side effects and things that you got to deal with. But she really didn't complain. She still made all the family events, even though she was in pain for most of them. She still was available and present for her family. And I just made sure I did the best I could to support her on a daily basis. She's my hero, you know.
You have described her not only as your wife, but your best friend. And how difficult was it for you hearing the initial news that there was breast cancer?
I do know that technology has come a long way, and that breast cancer isn't a death sentence in the way that it used to be. It was just about finding out where it was in terms of the process of what stage had it progressed to. And the confidence that the doctors instilled really did a lot for me to keep her encouraged, because I tell her, people go in for these things and they get a diagnosis, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they're told to get your house in order, settle your affairs, and say your goodbyes. And she didn't get any of that. You know what I'm saying? So as long as there was a chance to fight, I knew she was going to be willing to fight. And so all I had to do was make sure that I was available for her. And there was no way I wasn't going to be there for her at this point in her life.
Queenie, when you were going through the process, getting your treatment, were you ever concerned in the back of your mind, in the back of your head, like something could go wrong?
No, I never was concerned because my oncologist, Dr. Nair, and my surgeon and my PCP, they made sure that I would be okay.
Mhm.
The chemo, it's not the cancer that hurts, it's the chemo that hurts.
Mhm.
And it hurts bad. I would have to, every 21 days, I would have to go in for at least an hour and 30 minutes. Then I would have to, my port is right here, still here.
Mhm.
I haven't had the surgery to remove it yet. I would get the chemo through here that's running through the jugular vein. And then I would have to get this shot in my thigh. Well, I still have to get the shot in my thigh. It's called phase. What is it called? Phase.
Finishing the deal. Oh, Fesgo.
Fesgo,
The
yeah.
medicine. Sorry.
So this shot was worse than this. The chemo only. I knew. Oh yeah, and I had to get that
The injection.
the thing on my stomach. Most people get a shot
Mhm.
because they insurance won't pay for it. But my insurance paid for me to have it's this little thing you take it off, and 3 needles go in your stomach and you take it off in 28 hours. But within the next 2 days, from my shoulders to the bottom of my feet, felt like I was getting beat with a bat.
Mhm. Worst pain you ever felt?
Worst pain, can't even compare it to birth.
Mhm. And when she was fighting Bond and seeing her go through that pain, but only to survive, fighting to live, what was that like for you as a husband?
I mean, I'm not a physician, right? So there's only so much I can do to help her through these moments. All I can do is be present. But there were some times where she was in so much pain, like I couldn't even hold her hand through it because that hurt. So it was just, sitting there. I had moments where I felt, completely helpless to the situation, but I just was there. Like if I couldn't do anything else, just there so she wasn't alone, So when pain hit her at 2 or 3 in the morning, that she didn't have to just be alone in that moment. And I would try to hold her and hug her, but her pain was so intense that all that would do would make it more intense. So as a husband, it's hard to see your wife go through something like this, and you're not in a position to help her in that. But like she said, look, you made sure this family's insured, so that's gonna really help me survive through this. So I'm just glad that I was able to provide, because there's so many people that have to fight this disease, and they don't have the funding, they don't have the insurance, they don't have the family support. We would go in for her treatments, and you would see older people and younger people by themselves alone fighting this journey, and no one should have to fight something like this alone.
I watched a lady ring a bell, and she had nobody there to support her. It's a fight that you really have to stay prayerful, positive, and have your village. Because without Bun and my family and my friends, I don't know. I wouldn't have gave up, but I don't know where I would have found the fun. I was still having fun when I didn't have the pain, because 11 days of pain from the chemo don't start hurting till 2-3 days after. And then I kept count. I said, okay, the 11th day, I'm going to feel fine. Then I could go. But I wouldn't go anywhere, because that's when the flu and all that was out.
Yeah.
And my doctor was like, go enjoy life, though. I was like, nope. People not going to tell you if they sick. I didn't want to miss an appointment, because I started July the 7th, and my last day that I counted my whole time was November the 5th. I was just looking for November the 5th the last time. And then I had some more complications when it was surgery time. You want to speak on it?
Yeah, so when she went in for surgery, her actual surgery was supposed to be on December 3rd. We went in, the family was there, she was surrounded, we prayed. I took her in the bag, she went into surgery, and about an hour, maybe an hour and a half into the surgery of what should have been a 4.5 to 6 hour procedure, I was called to the bag. And they explained to me that when she went under, her blood pressure dropped and her heart rate escalated, and she was in a prime position to stroke. And it took them a while to get her heartbeat down. It took them about 4 to 5 different tries and different procedures to actually get her heart rate down and get it stabilized. And we realized, because the other thing is, she had been suffering from intense exhaustion for like 3 months. And we were operating under the notion that this is just the exhaustion as a side effect. But the side effect was actually causing interruptions with her heart. That was the actual side effect of the chemo. And because of that, her heart was operating at a very high, it would fluctuate from a very high level to a very low level. And it was causing her extreme exhaustion. She couldn't walk from the bedroom to the living room without being like absolutely tired, like she just ran a 100-yard dash. And this was constantly all day. And we realized finally that was the cause of it. And so they had to get the heart condition under control before she could even go back in and address the breast cancer. And so now that they addressed that, and she's had that surgery, but now we have to wait a few months to actually address the heart situation. So we're just trying to make sure, like always, that we stay on time and calendar for medication, make the proper lifestyle changes. There's certain things that she shouldn't be eating right now, certain things she shouldn't be drinking right now. She's extremely disciplined about that kind of stuff. But, don't stop praying for us. We're not going to stop praying for ourselves. And, we're about to close this thing out. But, once we're done fighting with cancer and we figure this heart situation out, then
I warned the cancer.
Right.
Remember, it's no cancer.
Right.
It's the after treatment.
Well, it's the after treatment.
Preventative.
Right. Well, once we're done
because
with
what
that,
I had, HER2 positive, invasive, it could have went to my brain, my bones, and my liver. That's where it mostly go. But I caught mine early, which I wish I would have caught it 6 months before. It wouldn't have went to my lymph nodes probably.
and that's the main thing: early detection for everybody, men and women. There are certain things that are, as people of color, men and women, there are certain cancers that physiologically we're prone to, or a little bit more drawn to. And the only way to know if you have it, to fight it off in a way that you can still live a sustainable life, is early detection. So men and women, especially people of color and everyone out there, all people, please make sure you're getting yourself tested. Get your yearly exams. Ladies, get your mammograms. Men,
No, men need mammograms too.
This is true. This is
Men
true.
get breast cancer too.
Absolutely.
I've seen them sitting there. I didn't get any special treatments. They didn't know who Bun was.
They
I
didn't
got
care.
no special treatment.
Thank God they didn't.
I
care.
had to wait like everybody else.
And when you had the opportunity to ring that bell, what was that like?
I just feel like when I gave it to God, I just knew that I'm the soldier of Him for my family. Because some people always say, why is she going through something? And then I just realized, hey, whatever I go through, it's got to be, I'm the tester of my family. I don't think nobody, and the thing about it, cancer don't run in my family. I took the genetic testing. They give you that the first day. And I'm the only one ended up with it. So I feel like I'm the winner. I'm the fighter for my family. I'm the soldier of the Lord for my family.
Did
So
you come out of that hospital a new person?
I danced my way out of it. I danced my way out of it. But I still have to go until July to get this one painful shot until July. It's immunotherapy that I have to take until July. Then I take the test over. Since my cancer was aggressive, I have to have another PET scan, which the pathologist and the radiologist didn't see anything the day of the surgery. They said that I was free of cancer, but I still have to take a PET scan because the HER2 positive is aggressive. So, like they say, that's why you can't say you're cured from cancer because small cells can leave that area and go somewhere else. So, I just know I'm blessed. I couldn't complain because in that same waiting room, somebody was worse than me. I never wanted to complain. I didn't want the freebies because somebody needs it. I didn't need the freebies because my insurance paid for everything. So I was like, no, don't give me that. I don't want it. Give it to somebody else. My insurance paid everything up front. And that's why I refused to take the freebies. I could have got everything for free through charity work, through the sister network. I could have got everything for free.
You're saving that for the person who needs
Who
it.
needs
next.
it? Yeah.
One of the things Bun talked about was advocacy. Is that part of your journey in the future?
It's got to be. Because you know I'm not a talker. It's got to be.
Every time I have to force you to talk.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be. I've got to let them know how important it is. The older you get, I think you should get, if insurance allow, I think we as women should get a mammogram at least twice a year. Because I just got a mammogram 12 months before that. If I'd have knew within a 6-month period, I could have got mine at stage 1 or stage 0.
That shows the aggressive nature in that amount of time.
Exactly. And that's why they was my surgeon was so scared that it had went somewhere else. And you talk about thankful. I didn't even know what the PET scan was for until the next day when I had to see my doctor, and she told me, "Oh, we're so glad it didn't go anywhere else. It's just right there." And the way that they did it, she approached it, it damaged like two or seven.
No, it was 9 lymph nodes in total. And there were 2 that had carcinoma in them. But the way they targeted everything, it literally just it knocked all of them out. So they wanted to make sure that it hadn't spread to any of the other lymph nodes, and it hadn't. So they just, by their aggressive attack on this disease, it made sure that if it had spread to any other lymph nodes, that it would take care of those too. We had
It took care of the healthy ones.
yeah,
They went ahead and
without
removed
damaging the lymphatic system, and so they just removed them all out during surgery. The radiologist looked at everything, and he was like, "No, just the 2 that we knew, those are the only ones." So, by good measure, they took out everything, and it all worked for God's plan.
And you guys still have a path to walk, but now you can breathe a sigh of relief. Did you ever envision this moment where you're like, I'm good?
That's what everybody that I did tell that started crying and saying I'm sorry, I was like, no, don't tell me you sorry. I don't understand what you're sorry for. I feel so sorry. Why? I don't need you to tell me that. I need you to pray for me. I didn't want to hear the sorries. And what are you crying for? That's what I was asking. What are you crying for? I'm crying because you got it. I'm going to be okay.
Because a lot of people grow up with the stigmatism that when someone says they have cancer, that it's a death sentence. You know what I'm saying? But because everyone loves their mothers, everyone loves the women in their life, and the way that they help take care of their home, a lot of people have sold into breast cancer research over the years, and so in that particular field, they have progressed tremendously in terms of detection, understanding the different forms, because there's many different forms of breast cancer that determine how aggressively the care and treatment is targeted. So it's just important for people to get themselves tested. And, if you get tested and you get diagnosed, it's not a death sentence anymore for many forms of cancer. It's just, you got to be up for the fight. You know what I'm saying? You got to really be up for the fight. And it's a great thing when you got someone to fight for. And it's even better when you got someone to fight with you. And thankfully, Queenie had both.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you both for sharing your story, Queenie, here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your time. And, of course, you guys are on that path to advocacy, making other people aware of how dangerous it is if you don't do your yearly checkups and make sure you're okay. But thank you guys for sharing it with us here on The Factor
Thank
Uncensored.
you,
Thank
Isiah.
you.